Hey, hello again, everybody. Sebastian here. We're going to do a showcase on Lubu. So for the purposes of the video, what I decided to do is that I was just going to scale it back and just focus on PvP, because I think that this is where he is really going to excel at. I'll show you some clips. And because you're probably curious, I'm actually going to show you a couple of GvG clips and really give you my honest thought as to whether he is going to be GvG viable. For my purposes, I really like to analyze the heroes first, and I try to kind of get a sense of what the type of damage they're going to do, how well they're going to excel at it, and which sets they're going to particularly work on well. So by now you probably know that I'd like to take him to Drake's Chasm and do a couple of runs just to see in terms of how much damage they do in their specific sets. And again, I will link this spreadsheet in the description section of this video. As you can see that I've done this in the past, and now I'm just collecting them, and I'm just going to leave them right here. But speaking about Lubu, one of the things that I wanted to first assess is which set really he would benefit from. And what we came down to is that I was just going to stick to Inferno Roar. That's really the one where I'm seeing things really pop for him, especially because he will be more effective during the short runs. And also it goes to his kit, right? Because on his kit, he will get into the deep stance right away, and he will start deal that damage. So it is from everything that I noticed is you can't go wrong with either one of these. Okay, so you can go ahead and whatever set you have in your account that is like extra, or you think is your best set to deal damage in arena, that's essentially what I would put him in. So these tests here I first carried out with an A0, and I left them in his exclusive artifacts. And as you can see here, I started actually doing with different lords just to see what type of damage he would do as a chaotic unit or as a northern unit. You can see if you team him up, if you make Valderan the lord and you give him that boost, that's where you're going to get the most damage out of that. So that's essentially what, he will work better as a chaotic. There's no question in that. And as I further then look to see what in terms of the artifacts, to see how well he would do with either one of them. Of course, if you put him into a bass bottle, you need a little bit of damage, or he is one of the few heroes that you have in your early mid game going into late game account. You don't have a robust roster, and you just want to deal damage to Drake Chasm, and then afford to help you push it to 50,000, or in Samra to at least get APOC 1 top chest, or 80,000 APOC 2. Then you can probably put him on a Wailing Skull, and he'll give you that little boost that you might need. Okay. In terms of the other artifacts that are in game, I didn't really like them in the Shatter Tilt, and then the Eye of Sin, which is the one that the game will probably direct you to if you read a lot of their mini guides, because he's an AoE damage dealer. He does decent, but in terms of what he could do with the artifacts that are readily available to him, you can probably lean a little bit more, of course, on Wailing Skull, or you can do Eye of the Sin. You can't go wrong there. Now, he also has that long extension, so if you wanna try Realm Tear to get him that boost in terms of the damage, you can do that as well. All right. And then here I just decided I'm gonna boost him to A5 and just see what type of damage that he does, and I'll tell you why I didn't do the A1 and A3. But essentially what it is that it really does elevate his damage, so he becomes a lot more potent with that. So today's video sponsor is SmileOne, the official third-party payment platform for Watcher of Realms, where you can get a 10% discount on all your W Gold purchases. During the period between February 13 and the 23rd, which coincides with the Dio-chan Lubu event, you will get the opportunity to have single top-up rebate events that, like you see listed here. Depending on the tier that you reach, you will get the rebate items listed there. If, for example, you get to the 29,000 W Gold tier, you will get 35 rare summoning crystals, a 3-day privilege card, and 2 huge stamina potions. Each tier can only be claimed a certain amount of times. So the 499 tier, so you can see there, you can claim it once. Anything between 999 and the 29,000, you can claim it 3 times. And the 59,000, you can claim it up to 4 times. So if you do decide to purchase any W Gold during this event, please consider using my special link that is listed in the description section of this video, and you will be not only supporting the channel, but you will get a 10% off discount while you get your W Gold. Please do remember that SmileOne is only offered in these regions: Russia, the United States, the European Union, Indonesia, the Philippines, Taiwan, South Korea, and Hong Kong. Thank you to SmileOne for sponsoring today's video. We have to first analyze his talent. You can see here, every 12 seconds, the next basic attack consumes 15% of his current HP to gain Chaos Strike. So the Chaos Strike, and you can see this animation because it's just all those like thorns come up, and this deals AoE damage up to 10 units. And when he immediately is deployed, he will gain this deep descent buff on him. You can see that by his animation, and you'll know that right away. He then enters a state that is independent from the previous one, so he has 65% HP. When the Chaos Strike is then triggered, it inflicts 50% slow for 3 seconds, and when receiving fatal damage in the state, he exits the state and restores 50% HP. So when he is deployed, he will enter this deep descent state, and then he will gain the effects of the Dark Side ultimate, but he cannot use the ultimate during that time. And when the HP drops below 65%, Chaos Strike trigger interval is reduced by 2 seconds. So let's look at his ultimate. It's the Dark Star. So you can see here is a 3-tile extension, but that can actually extend 1. If you awaken him to a 1, he immediately goes into the deep descent again. It lasts 25 seconds. Upon reaching maximum power, he immediately enters that deep descent and gains enhancement effects. So here as it is, 40% attack, and reduces the trigger interval Chaos Drive by an extra 3 seconds on top of that 2 that you get here from the ultimate. So this is his damage dealing move right here, and you can decrease the skill cost, and you can get a little bit more of attack by skilling this particular skill. So as you can see, the AoE damage, physical damage that he deals with his basic is 120% AoE damage up to 5 enemies. The Lapse of Reason passive, when he is not in his deep descent state, he gains 1.5% rage when attacking enemies, and for every 20% max HP of damage taken, he gains 2% rage. Both effects double when his HP drops below 50%. Okay, the Power Hungry move. When the HP is below 65%, he increases his damage by 30%. And then for each ally within 2 tiles with HP below 65%, it increases damage by 10% up to 30% increase. When the heroes of an ally, so this if you team him up with somebody like Ardea in Arena, this will kick in. So when they drop below 65%, he in the first time he gains 30% rage, and of course he gains a big boost in Arena when it comes to damage. And that's the key thing. It only says Arena, and that's 15%. Of course, because this is a dual event going on, if you do acquire his girlfriend, Dao-chan, in the limited banner, what you're going to unlock here is that during his deep descent, it increases the duration and enhances the state from his ultimate Darkstar gain upon deployment by 15 seconds. Quickly on his awakenings. So in the first one is where I was telling you it extends his range by 1 tile, so it comes up to be just as long as Ardea's. Okay, and then it increases damage by 20% to units that are not blocked by him. Now here's the unique thing, at least what they did it with him, is that he's in all the other fighters that we have in the game. Typically A2, he gains attack. They actually just reduce his cost by 2 with the Awaken 2. The extra attack is not getting it until Awaken 4. In the third awakening, it's been essentially what is happening is in his Chaos Strike damage, the multiplier is increasing by 40%. So this is a big deal depending on what type of units you're going up against, right? So If they're really heavy defense, you're not going at 40% on the multiplier. You might not seem drastic because you do have to take into account all the other factors that you're taking into it before the multiplier gets affected. And he's also able to then execute enemies with HP below 50%. Of course, elites and bosses are excluded from that. And the reason I decided to really take him up to A5 because this is where he gains the extra damage. And he's also, at least in this state, he can be rescued from a fatal damage hit. Instead of him exiting that deep descent mode, he actually will remain there. It is enhanced by 5 seconds when he takes that fatal damage. So that's essentially what we're looking at here with Lubu when it comes to his awakening, his kit. And so we can see this in action when it comes to what I'm going to show you. So for this next set of clips, this is kind of the build that we were going for here. So this is what I kept. 22,000 attack. So we have him at like about 1.5 second interval when it comes to his attack interval. Attack speed 384. You can see the critical damage there at 345.5%, and his rage region, we got it up to 26.5. So that's kind of the build that I have from him. Most of the stuff that I did for him had to do with the Hellbird of Woe artifact. So in this one here, it increases AoE damage by 30%. When the Chaos Strife kills an enemy, it reduces the trigger interval of the next Chaos Strike by 4 seconds, but this effect has a 30 seconds cooldown. So from the test that I did, he does do some decent damage out of this. It's one of the first things that I wanted to get an idea on, and just to give him a little bit of a comparison, I guess, when it comes to the type of damage that he did in PvE stuff. I wanted to compare him here in GR1 with Ardea. Now, Ardea is my base Ardea. She is a 0. And we're going to be using Valderan and Slylor just to boost the damage that these heroes can do. So here, essentially what I'm doing here is I'm just going to wait for all these waves to come in. And so what I'm kind of trying to keep an eye on here are in terms of numbers and trying to get an idea of how much damage they're doing. And especially here Ardea when she does her ultimate. But, you know, he's doing AoE damage. He's doing decent damage. And this units here are getting healed. So essentially here comes Ardea. She's going to enter her mode. So there we go. So we can kind of start seeing the damage there that they're both doing. So let's start trying to clear this stuff out. So I can already tell that Ardea is actually having an easier time with these waves than Lubu is. So in terms of the amount of damage that you can get out of him for something like this, it's okay, but it's just not as strong as what Ardea can offer us. Okay, so here we have her Ardea. You can tell she's doing a lot of damage, and then Lubu, he's trying to keep up. He's trying to stay on pace with her, but she's just struggling immensely for that. Now, for earlier accounts, yeah, you can use them at the wall, especially if you're trying to clear 18 and just get that additional damage that you need. I'm not saying that he's not going to be viable for that. What I'm saying is that at least in comparison to other chaotic units, he's not doing the amount of damage that you think he could do with somebody in comparison with somebody like Ardea. So what about A5? You might be asking yourself, if we just boost him, you know, we awaken him, we skill him, we do everything, how well does he do? All right, so let's try doing the same thing that we did before then. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit just to kind of allow you all to see the amount of damage that he's capable of doing at A5. So the numbers definitely increasing. I'm seeing a difference. Ardea still are doing Ardea things. As soon as she enters her ult state, she's gonna be able to deal the amount of damage that she can do with her blades. And even the boss trying to heal that side, Ardea is really doing a better job handling it than we have somebody like Lubu here. So he's going to be a decent unit for PvE. He's not going to be, you know, like an OP hero, but he will be viable at least to help you clear some stuff up. So here are the scorches coming at us. So we'll just exit out. But you can see Ardea did a better job clearing her side than Lubu did. So that's kind of the examples that I can give you in terms of his viability here, especially in PvE. And as you saw there, we did boost his damage. He did a lot more once we got him to A3, A4, A5. So definitely, if we are able to fully awaken him, he will do a lot more damage than he does at his base. Now, for my purposes here in the test server, I really, upon reading his kit, I really thought that the developers made this hero for PvP content, and one area would be essentially just to add another AoE damage dealer to Arena. So that's essentially what I did here. Now, I'm not going for you know, big quick teams. I just wanted to do a comparison between Lubu and Ardea when it came to this area of the game. Now, one of the things here with Lubu, this is my base Lubu, and how can you tell that? Because if you look at when I put him down and I will to place him down, there was only 3 tiles, right? So he has an extra tile extension when we're able to fully awaken him. So for this one, he will only be able to reach here. But at least we're going to be able to tell some of the numbers that he can do. So essentially what I was doing, I was just kind of letting him play around at the beginning. And this is where he really excels. As soon as you plop him down, he goes into descent mode and he starts annihilating units. You can see those big numbers. And when he does his Chaos Strike and deals that AoE damage, he will extend out to nearby enemies. So he will go outside of his range. Now, when he's not in that mode, he will not, as you can see here, he will not attack the enemies. So he has to be able to do that special move to affect everybody around him. So here we go again. We're just gonna let him do his basic attacks, get that strike, and he's doing a phenomenal job handling things on very, very early on. Very, very, for this type of stuff, he's going to be really, really impressive. You're gonna see a lot of very, very fast teams come out of somebody like in this team up here with Valderon. Now, somebody with Elder, he probably won't do as much damage if you make him a Northerner. So if you really want him to excel in this content, you're gonna have to make him a Chaotic. He gains a bigger boost having Valderon as the Lord over Gon, but he definitely is more of Arena type unit if you can keep him Chaotic. He can probably help you Northerner. I'm not saying he won't. He's just you're gonna probably struggle getting into Apex without him being a Chaotic. All right, so for this one here, we're gonna go to A5. So we're gonna try him out at A5. We're gonna see how much damage he can do at A5, just to get in the general idea. And he also gains that extra tile range, so he's gonna be persistently doing his basic attack, so we can get that Chaotic Strike to trigger. So there you go, AoE. He eliminates it, and then he'll just continue doing that, and he can pretty much clear this stuff on his own. So there we go, 219. That's not bad. He does the big one, 390, and eventually he will build up. So here we go. You can kind of see how much damage he's doing. Now he's building. Boom, 430,000, clears everybody out. Now, after you do the initial deployment, and then you activate his ultimate to again get him go back into that state, the deep descent state, that is the period where he is going to be doing a lot of damage. Okay, so at the tail end, when he's building his rage back up to get back to that deep descent mode, that's when he starts losing a little bit of damage. Of course, he is building rage when he's doing his basic attacks, but in some instances, I'm wondering he is better to be a bounce hero. And I covered this topic previously in Wars Going On with Arturos, is that there are these heroes that do initial burst of damage so early on, and eventually they start taming down as the run extends out. So somebody like Ceres is the example that we can put here. That as he does more ultimates, he starts losing power. That's essentially what happens here with Lubu. But I can tell you that if you time his deployment and the activation of his ultimate, that you'll be able to possibly extend him out all the way through the 8 waves. So you can, so here, like in this case here, you can kind of see him struggling keeping up. He does still do a lot of damage. He's building up to that ultimate again, just to make sure that we can get him, you know, doing these basic attacks. But you can see that he's not doing as much damage as he did early on. Now he enters again, and now we can do the amount of damage that we expected him to do. So there he goes. Now he's doing just crazy damage. And of course, this is with the artifact, so the chaotic strike, the timing, the intervals are being reduced. So definitely very, very good unit for this. This is going to speed up a lot of reruns for those of you that get him into your accounts and are able to then take him to Arena. So for Arena, yes, big unit, especially for AoE Arena. So here's probably what you're here for. You want to see how viable this unit will be for GvG. So here, Destin was able to set up a defense that I can test here with Lubu. Now, Lubu does not have any CC on him except for the slow. He did put this build, or did I just say this build? That's the one that he gave me for this, and he put him in essentially a damaged build. So essentially, in this setup here is that we're trying to see if he can prevent the swarm, okay? And we don't have a whole lot of time when it comes to this. We can't wait out his steep descent. So that's essentially what I tried to set up here. I wanted to see if his AoE damage, especially the one that he gets with his chaotic strike, would be enough to take out the dogs or anything that is in front of him, just to prevent anything getting past him, all right? So we could probably, if we wanted to, we can put him in a very tanky glacier set and just try to make sure that nothing gets past him and let Ingrid and Patrikios do Ingrid and Patrikios things. But he does not have a whole lot of CC. I can tell you that. So that's exactly what I'm going to try to do here. I'm going to try to kind of set up a wall with these daggers just to see if we can get past things past him. All right, so I'm kind of keeping an eye here on his ultimate. So now everything is kind of set up for him again to set things up, to get into that mode again. All right. So as soon as the daggers get within his range, you will see him activate again, go into his deep descent mode. Now Ingrid is going to be doing Ingrid things. Okay, so here we go again. Now we're going to send these dogs out. And you can kind of see here, I'm looking, boom, right there. He gained enough rage to get back into that descent mode. Now, here is what I'm expecting. He is going to do AoE damage. He should just wipe me out. No questions asked. Now, this is base. This is A0, so you can kind of see. And I'm just waiting for him to just clap me out. Here he comes. And bam, right with Ingrid, I got 3 past him. So yeah, so in terms of timing, you can definitely get around them. You can definitely get around them. And this was the unfortunate part, is that yeah, he will slam, he will hit. It's just he did not eliminate me as well as I expected him to. And I mean, look, the daggers and the dogs are still there. So maybe my units were a little bit highly affiliated, too highly maybe, that they were able to take a shot from Ingrid and then a shot from Lubu, and they're still standing, and we got 3 dogs past them. So I was like, okay, maybe there would have been some promise there, but in terms of the damage that he's doing, I don't know, folks. I would team him up. Team him up with somebody else that can provide CC. Maybe you can sustain that, but it's going to be really difficult to depend on him for damage. Now, what's another case? You might be saying, "Oh, you just got lucky there." All right. So, in this context, let me throw Ma at him. So here's my example with Ma. Now, Ma going up against a very stacked, sturdy Patrikios, a very, very hard hitting Ingrid. And you can see, you saw the damage build that we had on him, the Destin put on him. So, all right, let's just throw Ma at him. I want to see how long he lasts. I want to see how long Ma lasts. How long can we keep Ma up with a setup like this? So the key here is to make sure that Ma can survive as long as possible without taking the tank. So here, Broker is protecting himself. Perfect. And there he goes. And now deep descent mode. And they're doing as much damage as they can to these units. The fools are taking hits. They're taking damage. Here comes Ma. And what happened that surprised the hell out of me? Because he enters the mode and he loses HP. Boom. Even with Lily there in that protection, we wiped him out. And this is something I persistently would see anytime I threw Ma at him. He just could not keep up. So you can't place him to, if in other tests we would place Procure a little bit up, maybe he remains alive, but he's just not doing a whole lot of damage. So again, I decided maybe it was a fluke. Maybe it was a fluke. And then I went back and I looked to see how much damage they could do. Ma is definitely taking it. And there, boom, he's gone. So he's a little bit fragile, especially when it comes to Ma. So you can't have him too close. You can't. So maybe if you place him back, but then remember the Ma does extend out. So he could possibly get him. Now, one of the things is we wanted to look at how much damage he did to Ma, right? How much physical damage he was able to do to Ma. So I went and looked, and who did the most damage? It was Patrikios and Ingrid. Look, that is surprised the hell out of me in terms of how much damage he was able to do to Ma. So unless there's a bug here that I did not detect or that I was not able to see, and based on the build that Destin provided me, this is really weak sauce, especially when it comes to that unit. And I wonder how much of this damage was against those fools that were trailing right behind him. So in terms of his GvG viability, I would say no, don't count on it. Maybe if this is one of the few long range fighters that you have in your account, maybe you just got to make sure that you're able to protect yourself against something like the Swarm, or you're just able to extend the battle out to make sure you're not taken out by somebody like Ma. So on the whole grand scheme of things, I don't think that this is going to be a unit that we're going to see persistently in the top, especially in the meta type defenses, unless there's some type of little trick that you can do or make him a chaotic unit, right? Because that's where he excels, is with him being a chaotic. It's just that in some circumstances, chaotic teams do not perform as well as somebody like this, right? So all of this in that context, I would say, if you somehow are able to integrate Valderon into your chaotic GvG composition, that's probably where you're going to see him excel a little bit more and do a little bit more damage and maybe not get swarmed. But there are instances that are really hard to pop your chaotic units up, especially when it comes to Gun. Gun is still, there's a little bit of a bug with him when it comes to GvG, whereas his passive is going to trigger when you need it to trigger. And sometimes it's really easy to get through. And if you have Valderon, you really have to have him highly awakened to be able to use him as somebody that you can't get past. And then you can put him somebody like Lubu right behind Valderon in that contest. So in the objectivity and everything that I saw, at least in this couple tests that I was able to do here in the test server, and that's the big key here thing too, is that we have to decide this is the test server environment, is he's not going to do very well when it comes to PvP. So I will not recommend him for that. But for Arena, go for it. That's where he's going to excel at. All right, folks, so that will do it for this showcase on Lubu. Again, I wanted to really focus in on areas where I thought that he was going to perform well, and I also wanted to just clear up the whole GvG thing to see if this is somebody that you want to go after for that specific area of the game. I would say that if you're just trying, if you're looking for a unit for GvG, save your resources for later. If you're looking to get Dao Chan bonded, then yes, go ahead and try to get a copy of him in your account. And then maybe you can work him into your arena team in some concept with that. But I would say that if you're end game and you're looking for another unit to test out in GvG area, I wouldn't do that there. All right. But aside from that, he is a decent fighter. He's going to be okay. He's going to complement the two factions that he is in very, very well. And like any hero in the game, you really have to have him highly awakened for him to be really, really strong at the area that they're able to perform. Thank you all very much for tuning in and watching. Please do hit like and subscribe on your way out. Any questions, please post them in the comment section. And I will see you all in the next Watcher of Realms video.